There's a peculiar kind of suffering that's become epidemic in our time, and it's not the suffering of poverty or war or disease. It's the suffering of having everything you thought you wanted and discovering that it doesn't touch you anymore. The coffee tastes like brown water. The music sounds like noise. Your favorite show plays on the screen, and you watch it with the enthusiasm of someone reading a phone book. Sex, food, friendship, achievement, all of it has become somehow distant, muted, like you're experiencing life through a thick pane of glass. Nothing resonates. You're like a musical instrument that's gone out of tune, and everything that once made beautiful sounds now produces only discord. Your first thought, naturally, is that something has broken inside you. You think perhaps you're depressed, that your brain chemistry has gone haywire, that you need medication or therapy or some intervention to fix this malfunction. Or you blame yourself. You've become ungrateful, spoiled, jaded. You tell yourself you should appreciate what you have, that millions would trade places with you, that you're being ridiculous. But the self-recrimination doesn't help. If anything, it makes things worse, because now you feel bad about feeling bad, guilty about your inability to enjoy what you know you should enjoy. But what if I told you that this state you're in, this apparent numbness, this inability to feel good anymore, is not a malfunction at all? What if it's actually a kind of maturation, an evolutionary step that your consciousness is trying to take? What if the problem isn't that something's broken, but that something's trying to be born and you're resisting it? Let me explain what I mean. You see, what we call feeling good in ordinary life is really a very specific biochemical transaction. Something happens. You eat chocolate, you receive a compliment, you win at something, and your brain releases dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. These chemicals create a sensation we label as pleasure, or joy, or feeling good. And this is all perfectly natural and fine. This is how organisms are designed to work, with a reward system that encourages behaviors that promote survival and reproduction. But here's the thing nobody tells you. This system is designed for scarcity. It evolved in an environment where food was uncertain, where social connection was rare and precious, where every moment of safety and abundance was fleeting and had to be fully exploited. The system works by creating a baseline state of mild discomfort, hunger, loneliness, anxiety, restlessness, and then providing relief when you do something beneficial. The good feeling is really just the cessation of the discomfort, the nervous system relaxing its vigilance for a moment. Now, what happens when you live in abundance, when food is always available, when entertainment is infinite? When you can, with a few taps on your phone, access anything that would have been a rare treasure to your ancestors. Music from across the world, images of stunning beauty, connection with other humans, knowledge, novelty, sensation. What happens is that your reward system, designed for scarcity, is suddenly drowning in abundance. And it adapts. It has to adapt. The adaptation is called tolerance. Just like a person who drinks coffee every day needs more and more to feel the same effect, your brain adjusts its sensitivity to pleasure. The dopamine receptors downregulate. The baseline shifts. What once gave you a thrill now barely registers. This is not a bug. This is a feature. Your brain is trying to maintain equilibrium in an environment it wasn't designed for. It's like trying to taste subtle flavors while eating hot sauce at every meal. Eventually, nothing tastes like anything unless it's burning your mouth off. So you find yourself in this strange situation. You have access to more pleasure, more entertainment, more stimulation than any human in history. And yet you feel less. You feel nothing. The algorithm has stopped working. And you panic because you think this is the only way to feel good through this biochemical reward system. You think if that's broken, there's nothing else. You're just going to live in this gray flatness forever. But this is where it gets interesting, because what you're experiencing as a loss is actually your consciousness knocking on a door you didn't know existed. You see, there's a completely different way of experiencing life that has nothing to do with the dopamine reward cycle. But you can't discover it as long as you're still getting hits from the old system. It's only when that system stops working that you become available for something else. Let me put it to you this way. Imagine you're watching television and you're completely absorbed in the program. The characters seem real, their problems seem important, You're emotionally invested in what happens. Now imagine the television breaks, the picture goes dead, and suddenly you become aware of the room you're sitting in. You notice the walls, the furniture, the sound of the wind outside, your own breathing. Things that were there all along but that you couldn't perceive because you were absorbed in the screen. The dopamine reward system is like that television. When it's working, it captures your complete attention. You're absorbed in the pursuit of the next hit, the next pleasure, the next good feeling. You're not aware of anything else because the program is so compelling. But when it stops working, when nothing feels good anymore, suddenly there's a possibility of noticing something that was there all along. Something that doesn't depend on neurochemistry, that doesn't depend on stimulus and response, that doesn't come and go. What I'm pointing to is a kind of aliveness that isn't based on feeling good. It's based on being awake, being present, being aware. And this might sound disappointing to you because we've been taught that the whole point of life is to feel good, to maximize pleasure and minimize pain. But consider this. Feeling good is exhausting. The constant pursuit of pleasure is exhausting. The fear of not feeling good is exhausting. You're like a hamster on a wheel, running and running to stay in the same place, to maintain that baseline of okayness that keeps slipping away. What if you could step off the wheel? Not by achieving some permanent state of bliss, that's just another trap, another thing to chase, but by recognizing that you don't need to feel good to be okay, that your fundamental nature, your basic existence is already complete. It doesn't need anything added to it. It doesn't need to feel any particular way. Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds like resignation, like giving up, like settling for a bland, colorless existence. But it's exactly the opposite. What I'm describing is so much more vivid than the pleasure-pain treadmill you've been on. It's like the difference between watching a nature documentary and actually standing in the forest. The documentary might give you little hits of, ooh, that's beautiful, but being in the forest is something else entirely. It's not about feeling good, it's about being alive in a direct, unmediated way. But here's the difficulty. You can't get to this direct aliveness while you're still trying to feel good. You can't discover it while you're still seeking. The seeking itself is what obscures it. It's like trying to see stars while staring at the sun. The brightness of your seeking, your wanting, your trying to manufacture good feelings blinds you to what's already present. So when nothing feels good anymore, you're being given an extraordinary gift. The universe is forcing you to stop seeking because seeking isn't working. You're being forced to sit with what is, without the distraction of pleasure, without the escape route of good feelings. And this is terrifying because you've spent your whole life avoiding exactly this, avoiding the bare fact of existence without any pleasant or unpleasant flavoring. Let me tell you what happens when you stop avoiding it. At first, it's uncomfortable. You feel flat, empty, dead. This is withdrawal. You're withdrawing from your addiction to feeling states. And like any withdrawal, it's unpleasant. But if you stay with it, if you don't run back to trying to manufacture pleasure, if you just sit with the flatness, something extraordinary happens. The flatness begins to reveal texture. The emptiness begins to reveal fullness. You start to notice that there's a quality to simple existence that you never perceived before because you were always seeking something more exciting. It's like when your eyes adjust to darkness and you start to see things you couldn't see before. There's a richness to ordinary experience that's completely independent of whether it feels good or bad. You notice that breathing has a quality to it, that light has a quality to it, that sound has a quality to it. Not because these things are giving you pleasure, but because they're actually happening, they're real, they're vivid. And this vivid realness is so much more interesting than the pursuit of good feelings ever was. I want to be very clear about something. I'm not saying you'll never feel pleasure again. You will. The reward system will come back online to some degree, but your relationship to it will be different. You won't be dependent on it. You won't organize your entire life around chasing it. It'll be like weather. Sometimes it rains, sometimes it's sunny, but you're not trying to control the weather anymore. You're just living your life regardless of what the weather's doing. And here's the paradox. When you stop trying to feel good, when you stop organizing your life around the pursuit of pleasure, you often end up experiencing more genuine joy than you ever did when you were chasing it. But it's a different kind of joy. It's not the manic high of getting what you want. It's more like a quiet satisfaction in simply being here, participating in existence, being part of this strange and magnificent unfolding. But you can't get there by trying to get there. You can't make it happen. Any technique you use, any practice you adopt with the goal of feeling better will just reinforce the problem, because you're still operating from the assumption that something needs to change, that you need to feel differently than you feel. You're still on the wheel, just using different tactics. The only way through is acceptance. Complete, total acceptance of the fact that nothing feels good right now. Not acceptance as a strategy to make things better, but genuine acceptance, where you're actually okay with things being exactly as they are, where you're not waiting for them to improve, where you're not hoping this is temporary, where you're just here in this moment with however it feels, and that's sufficient. This is what the spiritual traditions have always pointed to, though they often make it sound more exotic than it is. Enlightenment, awakening, liberation, these fancy words for something utterly simple. Just being here without needing anything to be different, without needing to feel good, without needing to feel anything in particular. And the beautiful irony is that this state, this simple being here, is actually what you've been seeking all along. Every pleasure you ever pursued, every good feeling you ever chased, you were really seeking this underlying okayness, this fundamental sense that existence is worthwhile. But you thought you had to feel good to access it. You thought you had to pile pleasure on top of your basic existence to make it acceptable, when actually the basic existence was already acceptable. It was already enough. You were just too distracted by the pursuit of pleasure to notice. So when nothing feels good anymore, you're being stripped of your distractions. You're being forced to encounter raw existence without the flavoring of pleasant sensations. And yes, it's uncomfortable at first because you're not used to it, but stay with it. Don't try to escape. Don't try to manufacture pleasure. Just be with what is. And gradually, not according to your schedule, but in its own time, you'll discover that what you thought was emptiness is actually fullness. What you thought was deadness is actually aliveness. What you thought was depression is actually clarity. You're seeing clearly for the first time, without the distortion of constant seeking. You're like someone who's been wearing sunglasses their whole life and suddenly takes them off. At first, the light seems harsh, too bright, uncomfortable. But as your eyes adjust, you realize you're seeing colors you never knew existed. You're seeing details you never noticed. The world hasn't become less, it's become more. But it's a different kind of more. Not more stimulation, but more reality. This is what's available to you right now, in this state where nothing feels good, not as some future achievement, not as something you need to work toward, but as what's already here if you stop trying to make it into something else. The aliveness you're seeking isn't hiding behind some door you need to unlock. It's what's looking through your eyes right now. It's what's breathing your breath. It's what's reading these words. But you can't possess it, you can't capture it, you can't make it into an experience you can file away and remember fondly. It's not an experience at all, it's what experiences happen to. It's the space in which good feelings and bad feelings both arise and pass away. And this space, this awareness, this presence, this simple fact of being here doesn't need to feel good. It's already perfect exactly as it is. So stop trying to fix yourself. Stop trying to get back to some previous state of happiness. Stop trying to manufacture joy. Just be here, fully, without reservation, without hope, without fear. Be here with the flatness, the emptiness, the apparent meaninglessness. Don't try to fill it. Don't try to escape it. Just be with it as it is, and you'll discover something that will completely transform your relationship to life. You'll discover that you don't need to feel good to be okay. That feeling good was never the point. That, all along, what you really wanted was simply to be at peace with existence. And that peace doesn't depend on feeling states. It doesn't depend on anything happening or not happening. It's here already, underneath all your seeking, all your trying, all your efforts to feel differently. This is freedom. Not the freedom to feel good all the time, but the freedom from needing to feel good. The freedom to be with life as it is, in all its flavors, pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral, without resistance, without preference, without complaint, just this, just here, just now. Nothing more needed, nothing less accepted. And from this freedom, a different kind of engagement with life emerges. Not the frantic pursuit of pleasure, but a calm participation in whatever's happening. You still eat, but you're not seeking satisfaction from the food. You still connect with people, but you're not seeking validation from the connection. You still work, create, play, but you're not seeking fulfillment from the activity. You're just doing what's here to be done with a kind of easy clarity that doesn't need anything to be different. This is what's possible when nothing feels good anymore. Not a return to the old way, but an opening into something new, something you can't imagine from where you are now because it's so different from anything you've experienced. But it's here, waiting, not waiting for you to achieve it or deserve it or become worthy of it, just waiting for you to stop running and notice what's already present. So welcome this state you're in. Welcome the flatness, the emptiness, the loss of joy. Not because it's pleasant, it's not, but because it's showing you something true. It's showing you that you don't need pleasure to exist, that you're okay right now, exactly as you are, feeling exactly what you're feeling, that life doesn't require any particular flavor to be worthwhile, that existence itself, unadorned, unenhanced, is already complete. This is the teaching hidden in your suffering. This is the invitation concealed in your loss. Stop trying to feel good. Just be here and discover what's been here all along, underneath the endless seeking, the constant striving, the perpetual dissatisfaction. Discover that you are, in the deepest sense, already home.